Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Shauna Griffiths, host of Real Talk, powered by CMD. And I am beyond delighted to have our guest today, Felicia Hall Allen, who has been an absolute just icon for me in my development and truly the person who had the longest and biggest impact on my own evolution. I met Felicia Feedy, as I call her. I met her at the start of my career, so 20 plus years ago, when she was at Nike in women's basketball, and I had the absolute joy of working for her. So thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure to be here today.
I'll tell you folks, she is also the person that I quote the most. Anytime someone asks me, what is my advice for people coming up? I always say, be adaptable, because that was the first lesson that I learned the hard way. And I'm so grateful for it. So thank you for then and now. And just give you a brief glimpse into what Felicia is doing. So she's a sports agent, a consultant in leadership development and team building, motivational speaker. And let me tell you what, she will bring the house down when she speaks. Absolutely. Also is the founder of Felicia Hall and Associates, a Step Up that's a professional development program for college coaches. And I love this new one and I can't wait to hear about it. You're the founding member of Advancement for Blacks in Sports that's really tied to your interest in social, economic, and racial justice. And then also a relatively new one is that you're a business partner in Baseline Performance Finance. So that is an incredible reality that you have created for yourself. And so I'd love for you to share with everybody your evolution from playing back in the day in Iowa to, you going on to law school, sports agent, and just everything you've created for yourself. So I would love to hear you share that with us.
First, I'd like to say, Shauna, just how proud I am to watch, to experience the evolution that your career has taken on. But more than that, I am really proud of the woman that you present to the world, that we all get to experience, and the impact that you're having in the marketplace around leadership, because it really has been fun for me to watch your leadership style evolve over the years. So congratulations to you for the impact that you are having in the sports industry and world. Thank you for being who you are as a leader.
Oh, thank you.
The next thing I would say is, the journey has been fun. It has been everything that I hoped for, imagined, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, all of it has made for quite a thrilling ride. I think that starting out as a student athlete at the University of Iowa, I was so fortunate to have played for a Hall of Fame coach. Funny, you don't know their Hall of Fame when they are asking you to get on the line and run. But it has been so thrilling to look back and to think about my experience with Vivian Stringer and winning Big Ten championships, having played with the National Player of the Year. And the one thing that beyond the wins and the trophies and the rings that I probably treasure most are the relationships with my teammates. Like we used to, at the end of practice, say team unity. And it was just a chant or a slogan. But you know what? It's a way of life.
Absolutely.
We really are sisters, and I really value and appreciate that. And staying at Iowa and going to law school was an incredible experience. Law school taught me a lot about perseverance. I think I laughed because you said I love the perseverance
in your
picture in the background there. But I think that law school taught me a lot about just hanging in there, and that you don't have to know it all. You just need to know who to go to find the all that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's right.
And so just the resourcefulness in terms of being able to think outside of the box and being strategic. I think a lot of that happened through that whole analytical process and the process of getting to know myself. I think really, it opened up a new way of thinking for me.
Yeah.
And the experience at Nike, I don't know if I'll ever, ever, ever work for another organization that is so clear
Oh,
about who they are and what they do. The whole notion that victory is what this company is all about, winning. Johnny laughs every time, and Johnny's my husband. Johnny laughs every time I say, I love DJ Khaled's song, All I Do Is Win, 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 no
yeah.
matter what. The thing that gets me with that is I think that that's a theme for me. I
Ah,
love winning. And
absolutely.
that's why I'm a Dallas Cowboy. I love winning because I think about just how Nike is about victory.
Yeah.
And Nike, the whole notion of just do it. Like the only thing to do is to do it.
Yeah.
And the only person who can hold you back is you. So you got to believe in yourself. And that's so much a part of being able to manifest any dream, thought, idea, concept that you have. You got to be willing to take the risk. You got to be willing to bet on yourself.
Yeah.
And Shauna, that's where I got to meet you and so many other bright stars,
Yeah.
future stars of America. You and Natalie, and Natalie's with the Los Angeles Sparks, and then Corey Wilson, who's now a vice president with the Indiana Pacers organization, and then Kenya, who is a business owner, and Taylor, who has a law practice right here in Charlotte. Like I could just go on and on, Tolman, and just the rest of you all. And I think that that's probably a part of my journey. When I start to look back, that I probably will value and appreciate most the number of touch points that I got to have in other people's development.
Absolutely.
Really, really, really special.
It is. It is.
Really special. And then my dream job was to run a WNBA team. Had no idea that I would get to do it at the age of 30. I mean, go figure, God, what you had in store for me. And winning is what we did. And, excited about having had a chance to hire Ann Donovan, and her legacy is tremendous. And working with Don Staley and playing for a WNBA championship, and now having my own business. My dream, I thought, for later in life was to captain my own ship.
Okay.
I just had no idea that God would push me out into the ocean sooner than I thought I was ready. But I go back to one of my favorite quotes is, when you let go of who you think you are, you become who you were born to be. Wow. Until now, I consider myself a dream maker and an influencer, and helping people to have and experience what they think they want, and realizing that everything that they need, they already have access to.
Yeah. It's so interesting as you're talking about it. It's like you were doing all of these things along the way, and now you get to captain that ship, drive your own thing related to all of those elements of your journey, and the degree to which you have had an impact on other people's evolution. I mean, I swear, I think it's part of what, really became a North Star for me, and clearly to what I'm doing today, even with this content series. So and that is why I wanted you on here to share your voice and your vision with other people. So folks, as you're watching this, take some notes. I promise you they will come in handy as you go forward. So tell us, when you were paving this path, you just mentioned like you were running a WNBA team when you were 30 years old. So not only were you doing it early and all these other things that you've done, you've been doing it as a Black woman, paving this path, being pioneering. And, if you could share anything about what's that been like as part of your journey, I think it would be great to provide some insight for folks watching.
One of the things that's really, really been interesting to me is that I guess for the last 51 years, I woke up, I was Black and I was a woman. And I don't think there's any way around that. And so, but I don't know if it was ever a focus
Yeah.
on those two parts of my identity.
Okay.
I think that it's a part of the identity, and my life experiences that allowed me to have access to so many different people
Mm.
who have made deposits into me, and the relationships that I've developed over the years, I think that have helped to shape who I am. And I think being open to what the universe would have to offer, there have been so many people who have impacted my experience. I mean, Shauna, I go back to thinking about teachers that I had in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And my undergrad degree is elementary education.
Oh,
So much of that comes from the people who touched me
mm-hmm.
and helped to shape me all the way back. I vividly remember kindergarten. I vividly remember that my first grade teacher loved the song Like a Rhinestone Cowboy. I remember my fifth grade teacher, Miss Mosley, and the impact that she had, just on something like remembering my vows, Ada, Ida, Oda, Uda, and sometimes Wada, just like silly little fun things. I remember seeing women wearing pink and green and saying one day, oh my God, what is that? Seeing a pink and green umbrella or license plate. And then later realizing why those women were so impactful. They were part of a sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, that Kamala Harris, also our new vice president, is a member of. But I just kind of love that they are about service to all mankind.
Yeah.
And then my high school coach and the impact that he had and how selfless he was and pouring into me and seeing my dream, but also seeing the potential. Like those teachers saw potential in me. And I remember they always talked to me about how I wasn't competing with just the people who were in my circle, but I was competing against a much broader circle, and how important it was to be prepared. I think that being Black and being a woman taught me that I can't just be qualified for an opportunity. I have to be overqualified for it in order to really be seen, heard, and respected. And so I wanted to bring them up because it goes back to that, the origin of the beginning. And I think the other thing is that we learn to walk a fine line. One of the gifts that I learned from Sue Levin at Nike was the gift of tact. She said, Felicia, you have so much good stuff to say, but you got to leave people whole after you've said it. And I thought, okay. Point well taken. Yeah. She said, find a way to deliver the message in a way that people can receive and that they can still see and feel how what you said benefits them and makes them feel like they're a part of whatever mission it is that you're advancing. I think that the lesson of tact certainly made me a better leader. So Shauna, there are so many people along the way that have helped me to gain clarity. Coach Stringer being a Black woman, and just her style, her grace, but also her competitive spirit, and the fact that she was a mother and a wife and one of the best dressers and just so classy. I just think about all of those different experiences. And if you consider the words and my choice of words that I'm using to kind of describe what it is to package a Black female leader in today's current sports climate, all of those lessons, I think, and experiences have helped me and probably also changed the trajectory of how far I could go and advance.
Absolutely. Tell you, I don't know if I ever told you this before, but I went to Iowa for a basketball camp, and Coach Stringer was, at the time, obviously was the coach. And I was like, she would walk in the room, and to me, it was like there was music like she had this like halo as she walked through. And as you were describing her, I was getting these like tingles and remembering how I felt, and I was in I wasn't even in high school yet, I was like, so I can imagine how being, with her day in and day out for years really just left such an impact, such a lasting impact on you.
Yeah, that's so funny you say that, because it did feel like when she would walk down the tunnel into practice, it
Yeah.
would be like the Red Sea was parting, and it would be like the angels would descend on the Carver Hawkeye Arena, and we would be like, "Speak, Master, speak." And she was like E.F. Hutton when she would talk. We were all. This was before the book "Lean In" was even something. We would all be leaning in.
Yeah.
It was, I think that part of it is she had such an aura
Yeah.
and mystique about kind of who she is, but she shared so much of herself
Right.
with us, her family, her passion, her fear, her work ethic, her drive, her tenacity, just like she was so relentless in her pursuit. But her relentlessness in her pursuit of excellence, it was never the trophy
No.
that she chased. You
Right.
know what her pursuit was?
No.
The dream,
No.
the dream.
Yeah.
And every one of our recruiting meetings, she did not promote a trophy. She always promoted a dream,
Wow.
her dream, and then how her dream aligned with what we had shared with her was our dream. And then her commitment to us was, if you help make my dreams come true, I'll commit to helping make your dreams come true. So that's graduating and whatever it is that we said we wanted to be, and how we want it to be. Just what a great example at such a early stage in my life.
Right, right. And it's so interesting because you got that in the basketball, in that team environment, that, and look at how you've taken it into the world, into corporate America, or into the business setting, and you're continuing to give that back and take that into the sports and entertainment setting, which I think is so powerful. I think a lot of times we talk about similarities between the game, the team, and business. And I just think what you just explained speaks volumes to that, and even the way it's interesting, because it's also, when you describe it, it's like this incredible authentic leadership, which I would, and as you're describing her, you're also describing yourself, which not purposely, but as I'm hearing it. And so, one of the things I did want to also talk to you about is your authentic leadership. And, I think that that's, and also any tips that you have. I shared that I always share one of my lessons that I learned through you. But, I think that part of why I do this passion project of mine with Real Talk with real leaders, is to be able to share this with other people, and that you can be an authentic leader and probably have the most impact. So I'd love, if there's any tips that you can share, or anything that you could share about your authentic leadership style.
Wow. You know what? To be honest, I feel like every one of us has the capacity to be an authentic leader,
Oh, absolutely.
because we all navigate in these different spaces. And one of my favorite quotes, I get to see it almost every day because it's in my bathroom as a reminder. And it says, to the world, you may be just one person,
Right.
but one person can change someone's world.
Mm.
And I think that when I consider that, I consider how I show up every day for the one person who's looking to have their world changed, impacted, or their dream come true. And if I'm trying to be someone else, then I don't afford them the opportunity of the experience of Felicia Hall Allen. And so with that in mind, I think it always starts with the why, whether that's my why or someone else's why. It always exists before you ever get to the how you do or how you become. I think it's why you show up the way that you do. And I think it's about being consistent in how you show up for people. You want to be a little predictable because people need to know that they can count on you to be who you said you are. And I think the other thing is that, and for me, I want people to leave touched, moved, and inspired by something that I did or said, or just, I think that authenticity has a lot to do with being comfortable with who you are and comfortable with what you have to offer and what you have to share, and not feeling like you have to compare it to what someone else had to offer or to share. But I think that it is about having the courage. And leadership to me is just about influence. I think it's about having the courage to influence in a way that you feel comfortable and that you believe will help to yield the results that the people who you are influencing desire to have. And being able to do it with a level of integrity that doesn't make you feel like you compromised who you are, but that you really showed up and that you were true to who you say you are. That's what authenticity looks like for me. And I think it's also about, you talked about team. I love it when we all can win. And I think that's why I mentioned the world, because I believe that there's enough space out there for whatever it is that we're passionate about, for us all to feel like we won based on what our contribution is. I think I just like knowing that I get to contribute to someone else like you, that I get to contribute to you, to your shining moment. That's enough for me.
A lot. It's a lot. And the impact of it, just as you're saying, that influence it is a part, I think, of how we are actually like living our purpose and helping to make this world a better place. So thank you for sharing all of that. It's truly, truly wonderful to hear you share that with all of us here. So we've talked about a lot of areas of your life. And on the business side, you are doing so many things, whether it's the companies that you founded that I talked about before, Felicia Hall Allen and Associates, A Step Up, and then also the what you're doing for the advancement of Blacks in sports and baseline performance finance. So would love for you to share with us any of those that you want to, really focus on, or hit them all, but let us know all the things that you're up to.
I love that, the things that you're up to. I like that, because I think we're all up to something, right? Yeah. You're up to exploring leadership and what real leaders do and having real talk with them. Yeah. Felicia Hall Allen and Associates really is about helping people to, develop their own blueprint for success in a customized, not cookie cutter kind of way. Yeah. Johnny and I say that we're dream makers. We help people to create shared visions for success. Nobody really does it alone. There are other people who are part of the team and helping teams to create a culture that they can be proud of and that adds value to whatever industry or sport or part of society that they are, that they've made kind of like their platform. So I get to do that in a number of ways. So I'm a sports agent. I represent college coaches. One of my really proud moments, just a month ago, one of my clients, Carol Smith Gilbert, was the director of track and field at the University of Southern Cal, and she won the national championship in track and field. And then a shining moment for us was the next day. So the University of Georgia offers her an opportunity to be the director of track and field and makes this Black female the second highest paid director of track and field in the country.
Wow.
You talk about a shining moment. That's what I mean when I say that I have an opportunity to be able to help amplify someone else's dream based on the skills that I have been able to acquire over the years. Through Felicia Hall Allen and Associates, Johnny and I do team building. So that whole shared vision piece, and we're preparing to go to Norfolk State University next week to do kind of a culture building, team building sort of program with them, and just helping them to all be on the same page relative to how to drive the university, their athletic department forward. And to show how different the client can be, we were at East Carolina last week talking to a sports team about how to develop, how to prepare, how to build their championship season.
Wow.
I do motivational speaking. So preparing next weekend to be a keynote speaker for a strategic advance that is taking place next weekend in Louisville. So I think there's so many different touch points, but I'll tell you, one that's near and dear to my heart is a Step Up.
Okay.
Johnny and I founded a Step Up, and our mission for a Step Up is to educate, connect, equip, and inspire current and future generations of coaches. And we've been doing that for 12 years. And we started with assistant coaches as our target audience, because there's so much to be said about being a head coach. And as a result of being an agent, I realized that my new head coaches, they don't have a problem with coaching. They know how to recruit. But the one thing that they all learn to do, and they're on the runway is like the speed, the way they have is crazy, because management, people can be great leaders, but are they good managers of other people? And I think a lot of the times people confuse the two. Leadership and management are two very, very different things. In the same way that people start talking about team chemistry and they talk about culture. Those are not the same things. Culture is about how we do it around here. This is our standard. This is our way of being. And team chemistry is how do we connect to each other.
Yeah.
And I think that being able to delineate between the two, I think that we find and take great pleasure in being able to help people create environments. And assistant coaches, I think it was Dr. Billy Graham said that a coach will touch more people in 1 year than most people will in a lifetime. And I think that just speaks volumes to me in terms of knowing, and I've talked a lot about the coaches who changed my life. So that lets you know that coaches mean something to me.
Yep.
And Johnny and I started this. And so, like, for example, during the pandemic, we shifted from in-person symposiums to virtual symposiums. So we have 4 symposiums.
Okay.
We have a Step Up, which is geared towards those coaches who are looking to be lifetime learners. And we have our Next Level symposium for aspiring head coaches. And we had, I think, Shauna, we did live mock interviews with them. We had over 80 speakers, 20 or so search firms, executive search firms. And then we had, like, I don't know, probably close to 40 or so athletic administrators, but we also had current head coaches to be a part of that, all making deposits and talking to them about what they need to do to be prepared for their moment when it comes and how to get ready for the moment.
Yeah.
Next Level was just tremendous. And then we do a head coaches executive leadership academy. And that's for current and former head coaches, and creating an intimate environment for them to be vulnerable, so that they can challenge their own leadership practices and ideologies. So I think that that's significant. The other thing that I would share is that we started an Assistant Coaches Hall of Fame
Oh,
with the support of Worth Advisors.
okay.
And that has been like absolutely incredible for us to be able to do. Proud moment was when we saw the names of a step up Assistant Coaches Hall of Fame run across the bottom line on the ESPN ticker.
Oh,
True
wow.
moment. Like maybe 30 minutes after it had been running across the bottom,
Yeah.
I get a phone call from Scott Drew, the head coach at Baylor, who Baylor just won the men's national championship. But he calls, he's like, Felicia, I'm so excited that you're doing this. This is something that should have been done a long time. Oh, and by the way, I have someone that I'd like to recommend to be in your Assistant Coaches Hall of Fame. I mean, like, it has been one of the proudest moments I think that Johnny and I have both experienced. And this past year for our Hall of Fame, we had Holly Rowe. And I think the world of Holly Rowe, who probably is a sideline reporter and play-by-play and broadcaster for just about every sport. But she was our kind of MC for our Hall of Fame this year. And boy, I mean, there's such a sense of pride in being able to elevate people who are the wind beneath everybody else's wings. And proud moment, our Assistant Coaches Hall of Fame presented by Worth Advisors. So, you know, all of those things kind of make Felicia Hall Allen and Associates what it is. And then I'm not the founder of the Advancement of Blacks in Sports. I'm one of the founding members. Gary Charles, who's like the godfather of grassroots basketball out of New York. This guy has sent like close to 30 or so guys to the NBA from his grassroots program. But he started the group after the aftermath of George Floyd's murder. And the conversation was, you know, the time for change is now. And it's never too late for change. Though it's long overdue, it's never too late to put a spotlight on advancing Blacks in sports and saying that there's so much that's not being done. There's a lot of good that has been done, but there's still a gap between where we should be based on what we contribute. And so the idea was, how do we the mission is to be able to boldly advocate for a culture of equity and inclusion that results in the advancement of racial, economic, and social justice for Blacks in sports. And we do it in a collaborative sort of way where we want to normalize equal rights and fair treatment of Black people by influencing institutional policies, like at the professional league level and the NCAA level and the grassroots level and just and the local level and the statewide level and the national level. We really have to focus on federal and state legislation and be intentional about advocating for equity. And I'm not just talking about, I think one of the things that I'm talking about is, you know, being able to, one, eliminate inequitable hiring practices, but the economic opportunities that exist at sporting events for Black-owned businesses. And they don't exist because those opportunities were not being intentional about supplier diversity and making sure that Black athletes don't just shine on the court of the playing field, but that people, and because I think that when Black athletes do well, Black communities should do well also. So even in terms of being able to celebrate and acknowledge Black history, I think Black history is American history. And I think that the mental health, look at the mental health issues that have come up. Look at Naomi Osaka and how she's put it on a national stage. Look at Sha'Carri Richardson and what she's dealing with. Like, in order for us to be able to advance, we also have to be well. So when I look at the keys to victory for the advancement of Blacks in sports, or ABIS, we're talking about education and economic sustainability and racial equity research and making sure that college athletes, look at what's happening with the name, image, likeness, and these deals, $1 million deals that these college athletes and high school athletes are assigned. And then community and outreach, you know, that's all of those things are really significant, and they touch my heart. And I started about 7 years ago. I had won an award from the Black Coaches Association. It was a Women of Impact Award. And after that, I started a group called the Women of Color Coaches Network, where I invited Black women head coaches into my home. And we spent a weekend together talking about what can we do to help each other be more successful. That came about as a result of the influence that my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, has had, but also another group that I'm affiliated with, the Links Incorporated. And it's a premier group of women where friendship and service is what connects us. And I said, in sports, we're taught to compete, but why can't we collaborate more? There's so many parts of the game that don't involve competition that they could be sharing with one another and just providing a support system. And Shauna, that is another one of the things that, again, you can tell, I guess, by as I'm talking and weaving these stories together. I think I started out by talking about authentic leadership and how, to me, it's not about me, but the influence that I can have on other people and creating shining moments for them. So when I think about all of the things that I do, even baseline performance sports and finance, that's about helping people to protect their assets and mitigate risk. And it's around, you know, when all of those events were canceled during the pandemic, people lost their shirts. And a lot of athletic departments even had to lay people off. So, you know, you're in the world of marketing. They kept the coaches, but a lot of marketing people got let go or laid off, and people had to take and assume furloughs and, you know, all of this. And just think about if people had the forethought to have gotten some sort of sports insurance. Athletes have been doing it forever through Lords of London and protecting different parts of their bodies in the event, you know, like how do we mitigate risk? And I think that that's a big part of what we attempt to do. The people who run Wimbledon were smart because they had pandemic insurance. But 98% of the other folk out there did not. And so people were like, is the NCAA going to go on? Are they going to play football? Will the Final Four go on? If they didn't play football, some of those athletic departments would have been, I mean, it would have been really, really difficult. And if they didn't have the Final Four this year, would the NCAA could they survive financially? So baseline performance partners and finance, what we do is partner with people to help them mitigate their risk and protect their assets. So I would say just about all of the things that I'm doing is about influencing someone else's capacity or ability to do what they love and to do it with excellence and to win at doing it.
Absolutely. As you're saying it, I mentioned this the other day in one of these that I did, but I keep something on my desk that says, do something that means something. And as you're talking, every single thing that you do, that you're involved in, you're doing something that means something, not only to you, but other people and, you know, in a much bigger scale. And so I just, you know, again, you're clearly a very busy woman with everything that you've got going on. So I'll wrap it up here, but I just want to thank you so much, not only, you know, deeply personally, but also for the impact that you had on me and continue to, but also for everything that you're doing and for being that authentic leader that we need and for coming here today and sharing it with everyone. So thank you so much. You're the best. And I'll let you go.
I love this. And Shauna, I want to say this.
Okay.
I think we all get to do a lot in our professional lives. Don't forget our community.
Yeah.
Our communities need us, and they need more. They need our money, but they need our mind. They need our heart. They need access to the resources that we provide. And, a lot of people say, when I get to, like, there's a destination
Yeah.
point and then they're going to give back. I think it's important that we give back now. And whatever that thing is that you are passionate about, like I have an opportunity to serve on the Atrium Health Board of Directors in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. I get to work with the K-Yow Foundation, and I get to work with a number of the advancement of Blacks in sports. I think that we shortchange the world when we don't give a little bit more of ourselves. I just really felt it important to be able to say that, because a lot of people think they have to wait until they retire, until they get to a certain status or they get a certain title before they do it. This Real Talk started during a time when you were finding yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that you've created a platform that will stimulate and challenge and inspire people to step outside of their box and to become who they've been talking about becoming as a result of the real talk that people are engaging in with you. So I just really wanted to say again, I'm really proud of you. And thank you for the opportunity to have a real talk conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. I love you.
Love you.